we're going live on Facebook?
Yeah, it's on.
Hey everyone, we're live on Facebook.
Oh my god.
This is Gami. This is Get Face.
Hello.
This is Keanu.
Hi.
And make sure to tune into joyradio.org if you want to hear the audio. If not, you can feel free to watch our beautiful faces.
I'm
Bye.
suspended from Facebook.
Yes.
I can't hear nobody.
No, it's gonna go low and then we're gonna go back.
We're gonna lose the volume now and get it right. Hold on.
Like, can I get a gargling noise?
Ew.
Wow.
Good thing these are off right now.
It's really getting my mind going about some topics.
You guys want to have a fake fight?
Yes,
No.
it's gonna happen. Fake.
This is not
It won't be fake. They know you're live.
Oh, never mind.
Oh,
That's it.
it's gonna be real. It's on.
We're gonna spill some real tea.
You've been here before, Gami, you know?
Yeah, I've
Okay,
been
hold
here.
on.
You are now watching the Internet Friends Lounge. Interior illusions.
Peace world, welcome to Meet Them Mondays, a show about community, culture, and lifestyle in Miami. I'm your host, Cristian Portilla, and I'm here with Gami, Keanu Orange, and Get Face, DJ producers and artists pioneering the queer music scene in Miami. How's everybody doing today?
Amazing.
Yes.
Very well.
Lit.
Sick need.
Well rested.
Awesome. So before we get into tonight's show, I want to tell you all about my weekend and update you on me. So first things first, my niece was born today, so I'm an aunt.
Oh.
Yes, a little girl.
Thumbs up.
And so I went to Daybreaker Miami on Saturday, and it was incredible. The show previous to this was where I interviewed Fabio and Creative Mornings and Women Run Winwood. And so Daybreaker is a morning like dance party / fitness event where people just come together in a really nice healing space, out of all places, Space Miami. And so if you haven't listened to the show, I highly suggest you do. But it was incredible, and what I really liked about it is that it really does embrace a lot of physical touch, and physical touch is my love language, so I was definitely in heaven, and that was great. They just encourage you to embrace your fellow human being, and that was really nice to experience that. I also wrote 2 stories recently, and the first one is gonna be on Artburst, and it's about a play called Pelota. And they're really it's by Mark Bethumi Joseph, who uses the sport of soccer, football, to talk about social justice issues. And so the play is happening this Saturday at 8 p.m. at the Lehman Theater, and the topics will range regarding like gun violence, immigration, Black Lives Matter, and beyond. But the way that he's putting it together, he's the son of immigrant Haitian parents, and so he's telling the story of like POC and all of these different things that we're experiencing, but using the game of soccer to do so. So that was really creative. And then another story I wrote is for Beyond Borders magazine, and it's called it's a story based on a new YouTube series called Kiki's with Louie, and it explores sexual and cultural issues impacting LGBT youth of color. And so the topics range such as like putting on a condom, or how to legally change your name, what to do in a police encounter. And Louis Ortiz Fonseca is the director of the LGBTQ Health and Rights Advocates for Youth, and they're a resource organization based in Washington, D.C. And so he's also the host of the channel. And when I was interviewing Louis, he had mentioned to me that for LGBT youth and the community in general, having a space online is where a lot of people in the LGBT community find support, because he, in his words, basically said sometimes we don't have access to transportation to get to a center, or to go to meetings, or to have that support in real life. And when I started thinking about this show, and after meeting you, Gami, at Creative Mornings, and hearing a little bit about your story, I put these 2 things together and realized how showing up for each other is very important in real life. but what are the important conversations that are happening on the internet space. And so Gami is a trans Latina woman of color, and she established Internet Friends with Keanu as your co-founder. So I kind of just want to begin with welcoming you all to Meet Them Mondays and have you all go around and introduce yourselves and what you do. So maybe Gami, you can go first. You can maybe start off. Why are you cracking that smile?
Hi, Miami. I'm Gami. I'm really happy to be here at Jolt Radio again. I think it's been a few months since I've been here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course.
We met on Creative Mornings. That was really, really fun. A little bit about myself, I guess. It's like I do a lot of nightlife work here in Florida with bringing in like talent and DJs and musicians. But not only that, but it's mostly focused on trans and queer artists because of the gap that we have in nightlife here in Florida and in Miami in general. So I feel like that was like my main drive for that. So I feel like after that I started DJing, and now like, you know, I've established myself more as a DJ here in Florida as well as like a curator. So that's been really, 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 really great. So that's it. Not I don't do that much.
Just
do
that little tad bit.
I just do little things or whatever. But yeah, that's how Internet Friends came about, really. It was just Keanu and I and Skyler kind of like wanting to provide more spaces for queer and trans artists.
Okay, awesome. Skyler, aka Get Faced, you want to go next? Tell us a little bit about you and what you do here in the music scene, the queer music scene in Miami.
Yes, I think we navigate in a million different circles at this point, trying to bring everyone together. But yeah, specifically the queer space, I think Internet Friends has been our biggest work in reference to that. And I personally do a lot of multimedia editing. I'm also a DJ. I'm, I guess, the main graphic designer and multimedia editor for Internet Friends. And in conjunction with all that, I think just filling in the cracks with like event production, like, you know, artist relations, whatever's really, I think, you know, as Gami says, I just do little things here and there. I mean, we just all do. We kind of just make it work as a whole.
Yeah, awesome. And
Something they didn't mention is Skyler's an amazing producer.
Forgot about that.
amazing
Humble brag.
music producer, and yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, and then Keanu Orange. Tell us a little bit about you.
Things that would be under my name, I guess, like event curator, music artist, DJ, gay ass. Yep, we just
Co-founder.
co-founder, but we just all pretty much just help each other on this mission of Internet Friends.
Yeah, it's primarily Internet Friends is not only just about us coming together, it's about sharing. Sharing is the main focus, sharing resources, whether it's like financial, whether it is graphic design, whether it is music, whether it is ideas, whether it is spaces, whether it is, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
if someone gives us a budget, we will make sure to give as many people that platform, like that we're given in that budget. Like, we'll try to bring as many of the girls.
So, Internet Friends is the trans collective, right? It's a trans collective, and it encompasses music and art and event production and really just finding a space for trans and LGBT artists, but specifically focused on like gender non-conforming
people, that, and just like kind of like ultra feminist. Like ultra feminist is not only just like whether you're wearing a dress or not wearing a dress or whatever. Like, there's like so many multi ways of you being ultra femme. Like, whether it is like, you know, the style of music you're playing or the event title, or there's just so many levels of it. I think it's like we have encompassed feminist into this one diagram of it, but it's really extended into so many ways of like femme energy in general. Do you know what I mean? It's not just about fitting the form of like this is like whether it is like the beauty standard or like the look or whatever. Like I think that we've just all learned to like embrace ourselves within the ultra feminist of it. But yes, I guess like our our primary focus is to bring more of that and create it here. So we're not just like bringing in that talent, we're creating it too.
So I know that you said a gap earlier, and also at your Creative Mornings talk, you were also talking about that gap. When you were coming onto the scene as an artist, what gaps exactly? Like, can you elaborate? Like, what were you seeing? What was it like? What were you experiencing? And contrast that with what it's like now.
So Keanu and I have been friends for a very long time, and also with Skyler, we've been friends with a long time too. But primarily when I was first going out with Keanu, I feel like we bonded over nightlife, I think, and I think we were having house parties, right? We were having house parties. And then after house parties, we're like, okay, what's next? Should we go to the club? And we were underage. we're like, I think, 18, 19. Like,
We were like.
Oh, yeah, y'all were late. I was like 15 going to these house parties.
well,
and all this stuff.
Oh no, but house parties, yeah, like.
house
yeah,
party
but-
when we were younger, but I mean, like, actually going out to clubs.
Okay.
Like, we started, like, wanting to,
And new people that were going to the clubs.
yeah.
We were able to get into those clubs because they would like sneak us up from the back and stuff. And like we would get in there. We would get in there.
So,
No name-
okay.
No specific names.
No specific names, no specific clubs. It's kind of just like
Who was
going.
the plug?
But we noticed that we weren't satisfied with the music. Like,
Okay.
Keanu and I would go to these events and we would just be like, holy shit, we need to get the fuck out of here. The music sucks.
Yeah.
And I don't think that necessarily we were like, because just the music, but because of who was playing the music and what kind of style they were playing it in. And we noticed that there wasn't really this diversity, right?
Yeah.
So then we were like, okay, what is diversity to us? So then we started attending this one monthly party, and the monthly party still seemed to have that gap of music
Okay.
where it was not curated, you know what I mean, like with a variety
like,
of
what would you have
sounds.
wanted to listen to?
I think that Keanu and I really are really involved in underground music a lot, and we listen to, as well as like Skyler, that's how we actually, like, I think we all bonded, was over like underground artists, like Soundcloud underground artists, and not only that, but like queer artists, queer
Okay.
underground artists. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about techno here. I'm
Right.
not talking about like I think at the time maybe that's kind of what we were thinking about, but like we were not thinking exactly about that. We were thinking just more of a variety in general. Do
Okay.
you know what I mean? And more
Yeah.
spaces available to everyone. So I think I'm kind of like going off of the question. What was the question again?
No, you're fine. I was just saying, like, what were you missing? Because
What were we
obviously-
missing? Okay, what were we missing? We're missing that, and we were also missing a sense of, myself, I was watching a lot of these like rave movies at the time,
Okay.
and one specifically is called Groove,
Okay.
and I was watching that and how like what rave culture was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was an empty space, right? Kind of like going in and transforming it into something else, like really reimagining it and creating something.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about here about like dubstep or like electronic dance music. I'm talking about young queer artists who have an idea and want to create something and want to start from scratch. So it's kind of just like creating from scratch. Like maybe these DJs, people don't know who the fuck they are, but they will know who they are in a few years. Do you know what I mean? So we felt like what was missing was that sense of raves. You know what I mean? Like of like, oh, where is this cool underground like warehouse party happening? Which doesn't happen very often here in Miami. I mean, when was the last time you heard of like one of those happening? Like
I went to, and I don't know if you can really call it one of those, but it was called Catwalk, and I went to that one at that warehouse.
She actually is one of the leaders of underground rave culture here in Miami,
Right.
which is good to write. She started out as a raver in Hialeah and stuff
Yes.
like that, and she was doing more of that stuff. But I feel like our gaps just became music curation, event curation, and how everything was more drag focused, like how everything was drag queen focused, I think.
Like the gaps were like everything was needing femininity in Miami, and the only femininity we would see even in the queer scene would just be drag, not the music artists
Or the artists involved creating the event.
gay or straight clubs. We would not see feminine artists be
Yeah,
represented.
we felt really weird at gay
DJs and
clubs,
stuff.
actually. So we would show up in looks, like club kit looks, like we would go to the club, like they would be holding a Barbie, and like I would be like in pigtails, and like
Okay.
we were like, kind of at the gay club, and we were thinking that was our spot, and then they were just like,
a bunch of dudes.
yeah, a bunch of dudes, like most of the dudes are like, what the fuck are these people doing here? Even though like,
Well, I
we
will
knew the
say
promoters.
this, like I can say that even as myself, like I have felt like even in places that are LGBT friendly, I haven't felt welcomed in those spaces. So I can only imagine if you're even more expressive with the way that you dress, with the way that you are, your personality, you would even feel even more. But what I wanted to ask Skyler was, because I believe you came into it a little bit after they were. But would you say that you also felt the same way, Skyler, that there were these gaps in terms of like the sounds or the representation of how people were showing up?
Yeah, so I got my first taste when I was going to community college in Tampa of like the nightlife scene. Completely different, like pretty tragic over there. Like it was just, you know, a little strip of clubs, just very commercial, whatever. But in Miami, yes, I did find a little bit more diversity, but I felt like when I would enter spaces, maybe the femininity was always performative or a spectator sport. It wasn't kind of like welcomed into the community that they were sharing the space with.
Right.
And even like with like a lot of like AFAB, like so assigned female at birth, or like feminine women, like they would come into the space and realize, oh, I'm not really welcome here. So I think I kind of got a taste of that, especially as I hung out with more femmes, and they were bringing that up to me, and it's like, okay, yeah, actually you're right, like I do notice this kind of thing. But aside from that, I would say the same music and the culture, you know, kind of bringing up a culture versus commercialization of a culture just to make money and perpetuate.
Yeah.
So if you could say, or if you could describe what Internet Friend sounds like, or what the queer music scene here in Miami sounds like, what does it sound like to you? How could you describe that sound?
I'm just gonna give a couple words and then I'll let them answer that as well, because I think it's a total collective move. But I think it's a celebration of culture and different cultures, and you know, we pull from things like you're saying catwalk, which is ballroom, very Vogue oriented. Things like New Orleans bounce, which is very celebratory of the even local geographic community in New Orleans. Things like Jersey Club, which has, you know, become almost national, international now. Things like Baile Funk, which is, you know, just very like geographically oriented and kind of a celebration of that local culture. I think we try to bring all of that in, and they can both say a lot more that they have tied it back to their roots and kind of celebration of that as well.
Yeah, Keanu, I know you're Cuban. So would you say that you also have your Latinx roots in there, or Cuban, or how do you?
I'll play a Celia Cruz vocal on top of Industrial Club.
Yes.
We like reggaeton, pretty much Industrial Club, and Gami loves Future Club, which is pretty much like a mix of all of these.
Yeah, Gami.
Yeah, I think that, so I'm gonna tell the story. So Keanu and I think we went to one of their gigs, and Skyler at the time was playing a lot of Jersey Club, and we were like, holy shit, what kind of music is this? We were like, this is so cool, like we really, really like this. And then Keanu like started looking it up in Jersey Club, and then I was like, oh shit. So Keanu, Skyler and both, I think, have been really inspirational to like our music. I think like specifically, I think Skyler, I think that we were like, oh wow, like you are spinning these different types of music. But as well, like I think that once I kind of like induced myself into that world, I started looking up more of these worlds and came across of like, you know, like Dembo and like a lot of these like fun like edits and like fast cut edits and like kind of like acapellas laid over like these like really, really fun like club friendly beats. I think our main focus in Internet Friends, our sound is dance. We want to make you dance.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I felt for like a while, which I said at the panel that we did
At
Creative Mornings, that I wanted to do something else. I thought I was gonna have to be like a techno person, because that's what Miami's an electronic city. Like if you think about it, like it's like ultra, you know what I mean? And then we have like these clubs playing like trap, you know, and all these.
Or if not, it's just salsa or reggaeton.
Yeah, which I'm into too, but I feel like, so the world of Future Club music is all of these elements coming together and making them more dance friendly. You know what I mean? And kind of like you just feel it, you just know it. Like, and I think that we just like know it when we play it out and we just realize what it is. So, Internet Friends is like very focused on a wide variety of music, but I guess like reinventing it. So it's reinvented. And a lot of these, we take inspiration from a lot of other collectives like Nafi, like Club Tormenta, like Disco Man, you know what I mean? Like all these other collectives that are making really, really fun music, like Neo Perreo, like all these like really, really fun you know, Queen Bee, we have like all these like SoundCloud worlds that we merge them and we play them out, and it's just like really, 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 really fun. And
you know what? Would you say that your boiler room? Do you want to play a little bit of that? Or do you have another track that you would want to play? We can ask John to pull it up. Does anyone want to suggest a track that maybe you sing? We don't have to. He'll pull it up in a little while. We'll keep going. But
I believe your hair mix.
Okay, my hair mix, or we can play a new little single that we have that we're working on our project. So let's talk about that for a second, and then we can play it. We can play maybe one track of it. Is that fine?
You might have to log into your email or something.
Yeah, or I might just have to just email the person that's here. Is that okay?
Yeah,
would that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Works.
So,
you know what's funny, and while one of you handles that track,
or plug your phone in.
what I wanted to talk about was, and I don't know if Keanu, you felt this way, and maybe even Skyler too, even though you may not be Latino, but I remember that when Gami was at the Creative Mornings, one of the things that she said was that she really wanted to make sure that she went back to her roots and that she represented that. And she didn't feel like at the time when she was first coming onto the scene, she was able to represent her culture, because it wasn't what was popping, or it wasn't what people wanted to hear. So I'm gonna pose this question in two different ways. First to you, Skyler, and then maybe we'll go to Keanu. As someone who may not be Latino, when you are playing this music, how does it make you feel in touch with these different cultures that might not be your own, and exposing yourself and exposing your audience and your listeners to this music? Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, so I think we always talk a lot about what we're doing in terms of culture and creating culture and lifting culture up. And I think sharing in a celebratory practice all of these different fruits of culture, such as art and music, it's just I think it's very empowering to the people that make it, in the sense that I see it. I think it's very empowering to share music and for people to hear it and understand that there's cultures outside of the cultures that they experience, even variations of, say, like, you know, Gami has a Colombian background, but like she feels like she might not be able to play that sometimes, you know, in the right settings, even though we're in Miami. You know, there's certain subsections. She's like a femme Colombian person, but like that might not be, you know, there's always these intersectionality kind of ways of looking at things. So I think just playing it in general, and hearing it provokes something in me. I feel it in my soul, my shoes, my feet, and that makes me want to dance, and it also makes me want to know more about it. So I think that's kind of what we do with our music is, you know, I played maybe that one Jersey club, as she's saying, kind of style of music, and she was really interested in it. It made her want to look it up and know more about it. So I think that culture spreading in that way is really important and fundamental to what we do. So yeah, I think that it's just interesting to think that, like as I was saying before, like even in Miami, sometimes like celebrating your roots might not be the right format or platform for it, because you need to be in touch with a community that's respecting the culture that you're putting forth.
Yeah, but it's so cool how like art can be like that, and like it transcends, right? So maybe Keanu, for you, did you also identify with that feeling that Gami was saying of not being able to maybe express her Latina side when it came to music and stuff like that, because Miami can sort of box you in into this one particular sound?
I think that was a feeling before we got to actually play, because once we actually got to play, we played what we wanted, and I think we really had fun with it. Like before, when I was little, I would like go to sleep with a pillow on top of my head, listening to my mom's party outside, playing like loud ass Daddy Yankee and Winston and Dave. But now I'm playing those songs and I just can't stop smiling.
Right.
So that's how I feel with these songs now, like these remixes and all that stuff.
Same. So going back to the conversation about you know, I guess like other people sharing cultures and stuff like that, I think it's very important that you talk about it, which is really, really great that Skyler's able to talk about that, but as well as you know, you are sharing your resources within that culture. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like if Skyler was a person who wasn't open to that or with us or in our community, do you know what I mean? Like, let's say like someone like Diplo. Do you know what I mean? Like, Diplo is not within, like, you know, I don't know what his life is about, but like maybe he's not as involved in the community as he is. Do you know what I mean? As sharing as many resources maybe to those communities, like to the Caribbean communities, or maybe like putting other people forth in front of them. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of just like giving the forefront to all these artists.
Right.
So Styler's the type of person who has done that for us and has shared limitless resources with us. Styler has lent me his CDJs for months. Styler has, like, you know what I mean, taught me how to use CDJs. He is active in the community, like helping, you know, holding workshops, maybe like teaching other people of color how to use equipment, you know, giving other people those tips. And right now, which is a really amazing project that we're working on, is Skyler is really, really, really quintessential and important to the project because he understands the sound. He understands the sound, and he understands how to communicate with me. And we're working on a mixtape. It's a 7-track mixtape.
What's it called?
It's called Chamana.
Chamana.
And it's produced by Skyler.
Okay.
And it is also co-written by me. And then, but I'm not the vocalist. The vocalist her name is Kedabar.
Okay.
She's Peruvian. We met her once, and I think that we just kind of like sparked, and we were like, yo, we need to release a Dembo reggaeton mixtape with her.
Ooh.
So
Are we gonna hear that now?
we're gonna hear one of the songs. So the inspiration is obviously like reggaeton and dembow, but we are reinventing it in these club hype ways.
Okay.
So
What's the name of the track we're gonna listen
we're
to?
gonna hear the Tra track.
The Tra.
So tra
The
tra
Tra,
tra
what you
tra
mean? That's
tra
Tra.
tra tra. I know. The Tra track. Okay, I'm sorry. The
Girl, you
gringa
better
came
get
out.
it. Girl, you
The
better get
gringa.
it together.
Chama.
It's Colombiana, mami.
I know.
That's my job.
Skelly don't cut you out.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay,
All right, John,
so
you ready for this?
Let's
All right,
go.
we might start that popping on this table.
Popping on this table.
Mira pa'lante, nunca para atrás. 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 Mira pa'lante.
Okay.
Alright.
All right,
I
we
can't
were
give it.
getting carried away.
I can't give it all
No,
away.
we were getting carried away.
But yeah, so this is an example of communities coming together and making music.
Yes.
So Skyler obviously produced it, but with a lot of direction from me and Arkadabar, and kind of just like we were in, as I'm saying, sharing resources. So another artist involved into the recording of this her name is Future Virgo Elizabeth.
Oh, she's local.
She's local, and she extended her resources to help us record this mixtape at her house.
Wow.
And it all happened within 12 hours. We got all those 6 tracks out. We were just like, Styler was on another laptop producing, and I was in the mic room with Arkadabar and having her deliver. And I was like, we need to have the essentials of reggaeton and dembow and paying homage to that. So I was like, we need to have a tra track. I was like, we need to have that. And we kind of like, you know, got some examples going, and we were like, okay, how do we deliver this? And then Styler understood that message, and maybe Styler is not Latinx or anything, but he understands the sound, and he's in the energy, and the vibe is there. And like, I think that like artists coming together like that, you know, Elizabeth, Arkadabar, myself, and Styler just like in a room.
Is Arkadabar local too?
Arkadabar is local too, yes. So she's our
love
little
that.
pop star in the making.
Yes,
We
I
have
love
a-
that.
we
I
have
love that you're using a lot of local talent.
Yeah, local talent, and we'll be having the release party for it March 8th on Women's Day.
Ooh, is that?
You're invited. Totally. Everyone's invited.
Not
Well,
that.
not everyone, but I will be putting up an RSVP link very soon for it. And I think that Andrea has a lot of beautiful message about this. I wish she was here to share a little bit more about it, but she's very talented. She has put so much energy and so much love into this, and so have all of us really. Keanu will be there too doing a DJ set. I'll be doing a DJ set, and then it will follow up with a panel of Latinx women or gender non-conforming people in the reggaeton and dembow industry.
That's so
Do you know what I
exciting.
mean? So
And you know what though? one thing that I kept hearing you say over and over was the word resources,
Yeah.
sharing resources, and so kind of taking it back to that creative mornings time where we met.
Yeah.
I remember that I asked you about the resources in the community and what you in particular and what this community needs to advance to advance the queer music scene and to advance your careers and your artistic development. And so you keep bringing back resources, but I love hearing the stories that you all got together and made this happen so fast. And so
Well, obviously with some
Of
kind of
course.
planning, but we kind of like laid off a little bit because of 3 points, so we all
No,
kind of
of
relaxed.
course.
But then
But-
after that,
but
I
the
was like, we gotta get it
resources-
together, yeah.
like what are some of the venues that have lent like you space to perform, or if is there a lack of like how does that look like? Where
So-
do we hear this music? Where do we get together? Where do you want to perform?
Yeah, that's such a difficult question because I feel like everything is so money involved, and an example of things happening with no money involved is this mixtape. There is zero
Yes.
money involved into this. It's getting mastered by NAR, which is one of my resident DJs here in Miami, from Miami, Florida. They produce and they're mastering the EP. Future Virgo extended her studio to us at no cost, just wanting to exchange resources, and bartering. And I think it's when it comes together to artists, it's very medieval. Do you know what I mean? In the sense of like, I'll share this and you share this with me, or maybe etc. Or it doesn't always have to compensate, but that doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? It's happening now. Now is where it's really, really happening. I think, imagine how much it would have costed us to like pay for studio time, pay for a producer. Arcada Bar, as a queer Latin woman, she was getting charged so much for a studio session, and she was telling me about it, and I was like, damn it, like why is this happening? And the production wasn't even that great either. So I was like, you're paying a lot of money for things that are that we could be like, yo, let's pop this shit, like, you know what I mean? Let's make it happen. So I think they're happening slowly. I did have a residency at a warehouse for a year, and that helped me so much. And they extended the residency for a year, and I was able to like use the budget that I would use for a venue to book an artist.
Okay.
But it was still out of pocket. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, I wish more venues would extend more of these opportunities to gender non-conforming, queer, millennial people. I think that a lot of these opportunities sometimes are given to people that have earned their spot respectfully, yes, but I think that their awareness of, the 2000s, we have it, I think Keanu and I have spoken about this recently. Music has changed so much within the last, like, how many years? It's been like 19 years, where, I think that maybe before, like in the 90s and stuff like that, like a DJ wasn't as important to the scene as it is now. That mentality is way out the window because your DJ is the one that sets your vibes. Your DJ is the one that directs the crowd. Your DJ is the one that draws the crowd. Now,
Right?
and that's a millennial thing. That's something that comes from the. Am I right in saying millennial? Yes.
Oh no, we're Generation Z pretty much, but millennial, yeah. I mean,
Would you agree, Keanu and Skyler?
Yes, like hip hop. I think DJs like became popular like that because of hip hop, and hip hop was like
Get
really.
closer to the microphone, baby.
I think DJs became like to the forefront, like having their own stage and like big ass audiences just for DJs because of hip hop, and hip hop was like definitely number one, like starting in the thousands and from there on. So
Skyler?
And so I think that there's, on the retort, there's probably people that will say, oh, well, there's, big 90s DJs, say like Junior Vasquez or whatever. But it's like, that's on more of an international scale. If you look into your local communities, if you're going to your local bar, your local club, they're going to be probably, a lot more influenced by like the local community now than they were in the past. It was more so about, I think, like commercial viability. Like, are you going to be able to make money for my club? Are you going to be able to get people to buy drinks? If not, then that's whatever.
So putting all that to the side, Skyler, like what opportunities would you want to see in this in our scene, first of all, for Miami, but in the queer music scene? What opportunities do you want to see for artists like Arcada Bar to be able to advance? Like, what do we need? Like, what are we missing here,
So I would say I would love to see the queerifying of spaces, just more diversity, more allocation to understanding the difference of people's lives and music tastes and such. But clubs are businesses. A lot of things that we're involved in the music industry are businesses, and they are there to make money. Yeah. So what I would like to see is people allocating more time, and it's not always has to be money, but time and their whatever personal resources to contribute to the underground, the local, the warehouse that, is running off of fumes of people that are doing other day jobs to put on this thing to provide more resources. So I think it's hard to always see the bigger picture right in front of your face when you're like, okay, I'm somewhat interested in the local community. Where do I go to find this? Well, it does take a little bit of digging because the underground is underground. It's not like the revolution won't be televised basically. So I think that is, if you have the inclination, ask around, figure out, people, local DJs, local artists, ask if they have anywhere that they feel is a special or safe place, and kind of figure out how to make that work more. And I was just talking to my friend earlier who is a member of FemPower, which I'm sure you're aware of, and they have a local garden, which apparently, they have more and more people allocating resources to that, and it's only been able to grow because of community help. So it's like one of those things, if you don't go out searching for it, it's going to be hard to know exactly where to give your resources or your mindfulness to, because you're just going to see the commercial palette of
and
things.
People might often mistake that the underground scene doesn't want to be found, or the underground scene doesn't need any help because they're underground. But let's not get it twisted. One thing is not the other. Just because it's underground, you could be underground for many reasons, and safety could be one of them, or visibility or being comfortable. So yeah, it might be underground because you're coming here. You're coming into this space, so get ready for what you're about to witness, because we're welcoming you here.
That's an interesting conversation about underground and what underground means. Because, okay, for example, I was hosting the Boiler Room stage for 3 points, 3 days. And so somebody talked to me, right, and was like, oh, hey, this person doesn't want to really be announced because, they're part of, underground culture, blah, 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 blah. And I was like... And then... I introduced them very simply because they didn't want introduction, and then the person goes to explain to me, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, in Ibiza, in other places like that, underground culture is these DJs that DJ and they don't really talk about it or whatever. And I'm like, what is going on? It's really, really confusing. It's like oh, the underground techno DJs, but everybody knows who they are. You know what I mean? This is
Aren't you booked out of
Aren't you booked out of country? Aren't you being booked internationally? What is your sense of underground? So it's I feel like that could be a whole
how
does that relate to the queer scene, and how I feel like that could be a whole other conversation that we'll have another day, what underground means.
Okay, but again, I'm not mistaken when I say just because the queer music scene in Miami is underground doesn't mean that you don't want to be found, and doesn't mean that you can't use these resources.
We're just not given a platform.
Yeah, I'm over here nervously tapping the table and shit. But no, but I think the conversation that I'm thinking about is how when the underground artists and the queer artists are giving more opportunities, and maybe even more funneled opportunities from corporations or more mainstream, that people look at that differently, and they're like, oh, are you still representing the underground or the full spectrum? The full spectrum, if you're going to be working with larger opportunities and corporations and companies and etc.
It becomes very complex because, for example, if you think about the DJ industry or the music industry in general, it's mostly dominated by men. So it's just I feel maybe if they were digging more in underground culture, they would know that there's a lot of women in underground culture, and a lot of trans people in underground culture, and a lot of gender non-conforming people. Which so they exist. I feel maybe they just are so used to seeing a man DJ,
right?
Either deep house or techno or whatever, rather than there's only maybe one. So think about this also. For example, Nar, he's a trans artist, and he's a trans dude, and I was kind of really, 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 really almost started crying. I was like, wow, this might be this is history. He is one, if not the only trans dude to ever do a Boiler Room. Yeah, ever trans dude. Let's talk about trans dude, and that's history. right there that we are making right here, the Internet Friends is making, you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
you know, and a lot of people may be like, okay, like I'm an artist, I'm not a trans artist, but like it's important to represent because there's that one little trans dude, you know, across the universe who's like, yo, this person's trans, oh my god, that's so iconic, that's so amazing, like,
I have an
you know,
opportunity.
you know what I mean? Like, I have a chance to maybe doing this. And, like, I think that one of the few trans women who are, I guess, internationally known as, like, you know, Honey Dijon and then Atta Atta. Like, but other than that, there isn't, and Jasmine Infinity, but...
And now Gami.
And now Gami, I was, yes. Okay, cute.
Okay, but I'm almost there, but not really. But you know, I feel like it's about making history in this time and like just, you know, looking at that, you know what I mean, like kind of be like, oh shit, like there's so many men involved, like we need more of this.
Yeah.
And maybe we need more Latin flavor. And you know, we were talking about how some festivals will say that they're all inclusive, but they're not maybe fulfilling those gaps.
Right.
So one of the gaps in underground music, or I guess you could say like music festivals and stuff like that, is Latin music, believe it or not. There's a gap.
There is definitely a gap. I mean, especially as someone like that has covered el género latino.
Yeah.
When I'll give you an example, and of course there's levels to this shit, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there was even in the Afro Latino community
Yeah.
of what el género latino is. I remember I was interviewing Ozuna,
Yeah.
and I asked him, what is it like to be an Afro Latino and to be representing so many different artists on
Yeah.
such a big scale, because you are one of the big faces of these many artists that have come. And not only that, but there was Otego Calderon before you,
Yeah.
and there was El General before you.
Yeah.
So there is a movement here, and you're representing that for this generation.
Yeah.
He didn't
You didn't have
he
any-
didn't acknowledge, he didn't understand, he didn't even answer the question. So I rephrased the question again. And it was like, oh no, because you don't, it's not about race, like you don't need it's not about that, like you can be whatever color and still be successful. But that wasn't my question. So it's like there's gaps, right? And even there's even gaps,
Yeah.
like racially, there's
Yeah.
even these type of different gaps
I
in el
think,
género
I
latino
think
as well.
that people are afraid of maybe saying things to lose their fan base.
Yes, me
And
too.
one example is, you know, I'm not gonna name names, but this artist was being interviewed, which is popular within this music that we're talking about. And she was being interviewed, and they asked her like, "Oh, do you think blank is a queer movement of music?" And she said, "No, it's a movement for everyone. Everyone is welcome." And then, you know, obviously she's not a queer person, because if you were a queer artist, and actually that's the purpose of the EP that we're releasing too, it's like, yes, it's Latino, yes, it's queer, yes, it's for us, yes, it's ours, yes, it's exclusive to a certain degree, but, you know, it is inclusive. But you have to be, but this is us, we're Latino, you know what I mean, we're queer, we're releasing this album, you know what I mean, like, and we're here, and we're doing the damn thing, like, don't be like, oh my god, yeah, like, it's for everyone, like, you know, when you start saying things like that, it's just kind of like, you're blurring all these lines,
Well, but then
like,
we go back to the same thing, like, that's what happens when you don't have the right people having a seat at the table to be able to have these conversations.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so now that we're here and that we're talking about the music, what are your plans? What is the goal, and where is the future of this music? And maybe Keanu, you can take that. Like, what is a goal for this movement that you guys are doing? Where do you see this music going? What do you want to happen with it?
Mainly just definitely femme people on the platform, like just less bros. There's like so many bros, and especially in the Miami scene, it's just like a party can be called like girls only, and there'll be only male DJs. Like literally. It's just we need.
Gabby, don't bounce off that chair.
we like even if we can't find in the moment, or we know someone that's popular as a trans or queer person or POC woman out of Miami, we'll bring them to bring visibility to that. Like, oh, this person I love from the internet is here, and she's like this incredible POC DJ woman. And, like, I would never expect that to see that here. And, like, stuff like that can just make a little impact. And, like, people get ideas, and then we influence other people to do that stuff, too.
And the movement grows.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Skyler? What is the future for this movement, and where do you want to see it going of your wildest dreams?
Yeah, so I think representation of people beyond commercial platforms. So you hear a lot of people be like, wow, like that company just did this commercial, and there's like this trans person in it, or there's like this gay couple kissing and they have a kid. Like, that's cool, like we're really getting somewhere with our community and our culture and progressing somewhere. But that's also a business that's trying to make money, and that's someone that's marketing to a specific group, and that's a very specific cut of what these
So, like,
people's
the
lives
tokenism.
are. It's that tokenism a little bit, but also just that people aren't looking towards commercials for representation. Not everyone, but they're like, where am I going to see it when I go out in my day to day? When I go to the bar, when I go see the DJ, when I'm going to a workshop, when I'm at work, when we're my coworkers. Like, it's like we're not looking towards commercials all the time to be like, that's real for me. We're looking towards like each other in every day. And I think that's something that I realize all the time, is that every single part of my life should be kind of cross-sectioned with this thought of like, how can we just make more opportunities and more resources more plentiful, and how can we get more really cool people that aren't really at the front line of the casting, like how can we get these people that are the more underground, the less seen people, the less
visible.
Yeah, how can we get them just to work together? How can we just make that more normal in the world?
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
And kind of going down this route where I'm picking your brain,
Yes.
why is Miami the place where you have chosen to grow as an artist? What does Miami give you that other cities don't?
I'll just answer just a little bit.
Yeah.
I have lived in Miami for 3 years,
Okay.
and I think I've had a lot of friends say like there's a lot of fertile ground because maybe there wasn't as large of a movement here before, like maybe pre-internet friends, and there was like a whole kind of notation of, yeah, this is a club-friendly city, but we don't have anything that's really like speaking towards large masses or a large movement that anyone can kind of hop on, that's maybe more political, that's a little bit more radical or whatnot. It's just like, okay, you go to the club, like you're gonna hear some music, you're gonna drink, that's cool. Like that was kind of what Miami was known for. You're gonna have fun on vacation. But I think knowing that it has all of these resources already allocated for commercialism and kind of just stirring the pot of making money in tourism, I think that it's the perfect place to grab a hold and be like, okay, like we're here. Like we have a lot of wonderful people that we have started to work with and that we found out that live here as well, that is, you are not already seeing, and that we are going to work with them until the point where you are noticing. You have no other choice but to notice the amazing things that we're putting out and being on a radio show and talking and creative mornings, and you're going to hear about us at some point because we are doing the work that we feel like should already be done and doing the work that we feel like is going to progress, I don't know, maybe humanity further, because, I'm always wondering, what are we doing? Like, I don't, like we're kind of doing things that's uplifting and is celebratory and is really a togetherness kind of feel, but we just think that maybe life should just be more celebrated, period.
Yeah. I love that.
With multiple people.
Yeah.
Various.
Yes, of course,
various people.
across all the spectrums.
Yes.
And Keanu Orange, what does Miami give you as an artist that another city doesn't? And why are you choosing to be planted here to grow yourself as an artist?
Mostly because the things we're talking about, like a lot of it is like already like been happening a bit in like cities like New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, and like we just haven't seen it here, and it is a sad thing, but in a way it is a blank canvas for us that like the people, like the audience, like has been wanting stuff like this, and it's Miami's like just a perfect blank canvas for this, because I just said it. People been wanting stuff like this. What was the question again?
No, that's all good. Gami, I'm gonna take it over to you. What does Miami give you Why are you choosing Miami as the place to be and to grow yourself as an artist? Unless you're planning on moving and you haven't told us.
Okay, so funny quick anecdote and story. So
Yes.
Keanu and I had like a moment when we were in Miami and we were really like bored. We were like not only bored but kind of uninspired. This was like maybe like in May. We had like a little midlife crisis.
Last year, 2018.
2018, yeah. And
I had a midlife crisis last
and
year.
then Keanu found this like apartment with like a roommate, and then he's like, I think I'm moving, and I was like, fine, I think I'm moving too, let's fucking move, let's go. And then I know that this might be a little problematic for some people, but like we're really inspired by Madonna, like we love her, and like she says the story that she moved to New York City with how many dollars?
35.
With $35. And Keanu was like, let's do it, we can do it. So we did it for a month. And
Times have changed.
and we like the times have changed. Definitely times have fucking changed. And like
Yeah, $35
you know,
back then.
yeah, and like, you know, but obviously we had more than that. We had a little bit more than that. But we were trying to see if we could get inspired there and see like how it would work out for us, and
how welcoming.
and how welcoming it was, and like it was welcoming, but things were not working out for sure because we didn't have the resources. We didn't have any of those things there. Like we had to start from scratch, and I think that if we would have had more time, then maybe. But also like it was just a bunch of things that opportunities in Florida were showing up for me. Opportunities that would not show up for me in New York. Because why? Because
You've been
Miami.
here, yeah.
I've been here. Miami's a blank canvas. My kids were missing me, and by kids I mean like my
Yes.
drag children and my DJ children. Everybody was like, "Where are you? When are you coming back?" And you
And
know.
you left a gap here for the people that
Yeah,
needed you.
and then it's like, okay, we were realizing that I was like, fuck, okay, like, if I don't do it, then who's gonna do it? And then I was like, fuck, like, you know, like, I have to go back, like, I have this whole legacy, I guess, almost, like,
Yeah.
of, like, creating nightlife culture, and, like, if I leave, nobody else is gonna fill it, and, like, nobody filled it for that month, so I was like, okay, I guess it's, like, I have to come back. And, you know, I got kids out of my apartment, and, you know, Keanu was like, okay, I gotta move too, and then we moved back, and, like, it just made us fall back in love with Miami. I feel like Miami has shown me love, right?
Yes.
She's my good sis. Why would I do her like that? Why would I be like, fuck you, Miami, I'm gonna go somewhere else?
Because
And
Miami be trifling sometimes.
I know, she be
She
trying
be having
it.
her bad days,
She be
okay?
having her bad days, but overall,
But she's a real ass bitch.
but overall, she's a real ass bitch. Like,
Always come back to la puteria.
yeah, we come back to the puteria, like Maxima, and like, you know, like, we were in New York and we were so disgusted. I mean, honestly, New York is beautiful, whatever, to a certain extent, but, you know, Miami, we like have the beach, you know, we have the
Our
weather,
culture.
we have the sun, we have the culture, we have our food. You know, New York has like subway rats, and like it's disgusting, and like we were breathing filthy air, and we were just like, honestly, like, why are we leaving our beautiful Malibu palace? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, we live like princesses here. Like, Miami's gorgeous. Like,
And you have people that love you here, and you don't have that everywhere else.
yeah,
You know?
Yes,
and we have a family.
And one quick thing, so the person that Keanu was actually rooming with was a past internet friend that we
Yeah.
made through internet friends.
Yeah.
So it
Oh
was,
my god.
you know, just more resources.
Just like
and,
more resources, like within the community. Yeah.
And then just super quick, and then literally what Gami said is that if we don't do it, like who else will? Like we kind of got into a position of we were putting all this on, like nobody's gonna take in, like and step in for what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not saying, okay, and one thing is like, we're not saying like we're the only DJs.
Yeah.
We're the only collective.
I mean,
because-
like, yeah, yes.
Okay, but
There's
like,
only one Gami.
okay.
There's only one Skepta, there's
okay,
only one
yeah,
Keanu.
yeah, there is, but we have extended our resources
No, I
to other
get you.
people. Like, I have DJ kids, I'm teaching them. I think they should learn. They're the future. You know what I mean? They're younger than me. They're probably gonna do things in the future, or maybe not. I don't know, but that's the thing. So if you don't see enough femme or gender non-conforming DJs in your city, you shouldn't just like sit and with your arms crossed and just like,
Well, there's no one here.
yeah. No, you have to be like, okay, shit, like, let me start teaching some people how to do this shit, you know what I mean? Like, let me figure it out, you know? And I feel like that's the main focus of Internet Friends is, like, we're creating the culture.
And
Like,
you know what I love, though? The idea of essentially throwing the bone to the younger generation, or throwing the bone to someone else. Because real shit, Miami can be cliquey like that sometimes, and you don't know how many times I asked the same person for, and my wife is the first one to tell me, baby, go after it yourself, because real shit, like, you don't need someone to connect you. Go yourself, introduce yourself, email that person, slide in their DM. And I'm like, you're right. But sometimes it's nice to be able to say, oh, Gami, you know such and such at Red Bull Radio? Man, I've been trying to get in touch. Can you introduce us? And you'd be like, of course, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce you, girl. I love what you're doing. Let me help you out. But that doesn't always happen. And so you realize, like, I love the idea that you guys are so, that you care so much about your scene, that you care about like, helping other younger DJs and your DJ children and having that love of wanting to put that forward and pass that knowledge
and
on.
that's how we are. I mean, Skyler is like my DJ daddy, and then, you know, I learned, and then I learned, and then Keanu is my DJ daughter. Like, I taught her how to DJ, and then, like, she's teaching other people too, and then I'm teaching other people too, and then, you know, it's just like it needs. That's what culture is about. That's what we're about, you know. And something else that I wanted to bring up, it's like, for example, with this EP and this mixtape that we're releasing, it's like, when was the last time you heard a Latina queer artist making a dembow EP in Miami?
Yeah.
And this is the most Latin city. That should be happening by the minute, honestly. Like, you know, we're so inspired, and one of the biggest inspirations for that EP is Tego Calderon, actually.
Oh, I
like,
love
and
Tego.
and she says it.
Is my shit.
We're gonna play one of the songs towards the end of our set.
We're almost done.
We're almost done.
Now.
So let me know when you. Huh?
I haven't received it.
You haven't received it? Okay, let me see one more time if
or
I
if
can.
not, where can people listen to it?
Well, it's coming out March 8th, but I want to give you guys a little preview.
Yeah, so it will be coming out March 8th, and it should be on all streaming platforms by then. If not,
and
then a
how
couple
would
days
people
after.
search it? Through Internet Friends or through Gami?
Arcade Bar.
Arcade Bar and Internet Friends.
And Internet
It's Internet Friends' first official release.
Okay.
It's like a mixtape, but it is an original project. You know what I mean? Like, it's our project.
So now that we're closing off, how can people stay in touch with you? Like, all of you, social media handles, websites, give me everything. Skyler, let's go first with you.
Okay, I need to change it because it's always complicated. So it's M, and then there's 3 underscores. So underscore Schubert, SCHUBERT. And yeah, through Internet Friends. I mean, that's the other Instagram. It's at internetfriends.us, right?
Yeah, .us.
Okay, and Keanu, what's your handle and how can people stay in touch with you?
My Instagram handle is Keanu Orange, KEANU Orange, and email usually KeanuOrange@KeanuOrange.com.
Awesome. And Gami, how can people stay in touch with you?
So,
Your personal and internet.
you can stay in touch with me by following me on Instagram at Gami, YAS, and then Gami, GAMI. You know, I'm also just like on SoundCloud as Gami, GAMI. You know, that's how you guys can stay in touch with me. DM me if you have any questions. We're always here to answer them. DM Internet Friends if you have anything that you want to ask us. So yeah, we wanted to play that track for you guys, but it's not available unless somebody has a dongle. Does anybody have like a like one of the
iPhone strap-on?
The iPhone strap-on?
iPhone strap-on.
No iPhone strap-on. All right.
Real quick, strap-ons aside, you have an event coming up that I do want to bring up. It's happening this Friday in Orlando. It's called Girl Mobile. Yes? Tell me a little bit about
Maybe
that.
strap-on's not a side.
Girl Mobile.
That's happening this Friday.
It's happening this Friday. It's Internet Friends. We are taking over this huge gay bar in Orlando. It's actually, I think, our first time at a gay bar.
What?
Yeah, let me think about it.
In Orlando.
It's a Stonewall gay bar.
In the Stonewall Gay
I
Bar?
haven't
Orlando.
played at a gay bar.
I think that's true. I'm
Facts.
putting a question mark. We've done
Facts
so
have
much.
been
It's
laid.
like over the years.
Well, yeah,
Fake news.
but those are some facts. Yeah, it's our first like
Her story.
Well, it's like a popular gay bar. It's called Stonewall Bar, Orlando on Church Street. It's in Orlando. We're doing 2 little like areas. We have the upstairs. We have the local DJs from Orlando. Some of them are my kids. And then downstairs we're doing Jasmine Infinity as the headliner. We have Getface, Keanu, and then myself. And then
Getface and King Sky.
yeah, and then Girl Mobile, it's like we love coming up with like these different type of like names for our events just because they keep them fun and catchy and like for flyers and visuals. So it's like all cell phone themed and like you guys can see the beautiful flyer that Getface and Styler made for us. But yeah, we'll be there Friday. So if you're in Orlando and you're queer and you're extra gay and you want to come see us, then we'll be there.
And all of that information is posted on the
Internet
Instagram
Friends,
too.
and then we all been posting the flyers. So if you want to know more about it, it's there. It's $10. If you want to support the girls, that would be really fab.
Also, I've been thinking, and I think it just says so much that I don't think we actually have ever played a gay bar before, and that's just like period. Like that's it. Like, I don't think there's anything else to be said.
I don't think we have it, but we're really excited to like
We're
play
excited.
this like mainstream gay bar moment. You know, we are gay, but we're excited.
Yeah, I think just more so I was just saying like more about like, you know, the opportunity has just never even come up in that way, but
Which
we're
is funny.
excited. It is funny.
Keanu.
Okay, we got
Oh,
the
we got the
song.
track?
We got the track.
Oh,
So,
shit.
all
Jam
right,
in
let me
the
tell you.
car.
Let me tell you a little bit about this sexy track. So, when we were talking about this EP, I think I was in my car really high, and then y'all know that song "Moments in Love." It's like. Doo, 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 doo,
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so there's plenty of renditions of that, but that's a primarily like club track, like you know.
What's the name of the track we're about to play?
We're about to play "Moments in Pussy," and
You're lying.
That's
so.
always a good time.
So Moments in Pussy, and we're doing like a Dembo rendition of it, produced by Skyler, and then
God
co-written
help
by me, and then starring Arca Darbar. It's gonna be on the Chamana mixtape coming up March 8th. So
Y'all not ready.
Ready.
Todas mis mujeres, como lo mueven, peruana y cubana, chimpuña se. Mira todas mis mujeres, como lo mueven, peruana y cubana, chimpuña se. Viene desde Nueva York hasta LA, por todo el billete, conmigo no te metes, tú eres mi juguete, que grabar te hago bailar hasta las 7, te hago bailar hasta las 7, quítame la ropa,
Damn.
obviously
That was fire.
that was really really sexy.
Is there a Colombiana in there?
We definitely have to. We're still finalizing some stuff. We still have to master the volumes of the vocals and all these
I
things.
love it,
But
though.
it's you know we have put so much love on it, and I think we're really excited to see. It's very experimental. We're trying to like really like use these different genres and mash them together. It has a little bit of a baile funk vocals on them, and then it has, you know, the dembow beat on it, and then Moments in Love, and then Andrea on it. So Andrea,
I'm
Arca
so
Darbar.
excited for everything that you're all doing. It's incredible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for being here. Gami, thank you for being here.
Thank you so
Skyler,
much.
Thank you for
being
extending the
here.
invitation to us.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah, anytime.
Keanu, thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting
It's been a really fun time. So everybody stay tuned March 8th.
March 8th.
Yes.
Yes, we're gonna have that coming for you. Thank you all for listening to Meet Them Mondays. Also, March 8th is International Women's Day, but here at Meet Them Mondays, we're turning March into International Women's Month. So make sure to tune back in on Monday, March 11th and 25th for episodes with badass Miami women entrepreneurs and female DJs, and follow us on social media at Meet Them Mondays. I'm your host, Cristian Portilla at Room Free Rights. And if you like what you hear, then share an episode with your friend or support the Meet Them Mondays mission. We would really, really appreciate a Patreon contribution. Head to patreon.com/roomfreerights or subscribe on Apple and listen on Soundcloud, Mixcloud, Stitcher, or visit roomfreerights.com for more. Thank you all so
That's
much.
it, period.
Yay.
Bye. We're out.
Bye.
Out.
Y'all are gay.
Thank you, Miami.
Oh, thank you. Oh my god, that was so much fun.
Yay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you
for having us. I'm glad you got the email.
Oh my god,
Yeah, I
me
got
too.
it
That
right,
was
like,
so
right before you guys were up.
perfect.
Are we still going to Nick Leon's?
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the Facebook Live.
Are you down to
the
come over to
episode
Nick
will be
Leon's
up
for a little
soon.
bit with our produce? Okay.
You got it, John?